Welcome back, and as we earlier said in our intro, today marks the International Translation Day, and this is the day where we commemorate and recognize or remember together the translation pioneers worldwide, and especially here in the Arab world. And to shed more light on this issue, we're very delighted to be having with us our prominent guest, Dr. Hassan Wageeh, Professor of International Relations. Good morning, Dr. Wageeh.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Breakfast Show.
Thank you.
It's a real pleasure to have you. So why was September 30th chosen as International Translation Day?
Actually, it is the day where Saint Jerome, Catholic saint, died, but he was like adored by the people. People admired him so much. He's a Bible translator who really facilitated the job of reading the Bible for masses of people. And when it comes to translation, he's supposed to be a great figure. He is for the maxim that we do not translate words, we translate ideas. So this maxim is agreed upon, of course, when it comes to functional translation and even recent series. So they have chosen the name, and when I was at Georgetown University, they created Jerome Quarterly. The Center for Interpretation and the Translation at Georgetown University launched that quarterly, and they named the quarterly after Saint Jerome too. So he's a very popular figure in the world, and the International Federation of Translators really celebrated his day. They called it also Jerome's Feast. It was like a feast for people. So they celebrated his translation works, and he's supposed to be a great figure when it comes to translating. So here, that federation, the International Federation for Translation in Washington, celebrated that day in 1991. But the United Nations really wanted to say we are here. So they claimed a day to celebrate the tributes of contributions and to pay tribute to figures when it comes to translation, because you know the whole business of the United Nations is based on translation. Actually, it is a very big employer of translators, editors, linguists, legal experts, because they are supposed to transmit the ideas all over the world. And we have now, how many languages? 6 languages in the United Nations. 6 languages.
Only 6?
Only 6 official.
Official, yes.
Official language. You are talking about
6 with their dialects, but 6 languages mainly.
6
that's why I was asking.
English, Russian. You know, when the 4 victors achieved the victory in negotiation 4+2, and they established accordingly the IMF, the UN, and the World Bank as the trio that really govern the world now. In the translation, there were the 4 victors were there: the Russian, the British, the French, and the 4 languages were there. But let us ask ourselves why they incorporated the Arabic language. Let us say here with great pride that in 1973, when Egypt achieved victory and the Arab world was united as one, the United Nations discovered, quote unquote, that there is something called Arabic language.
Only then they discovered?
1973 in December.
What about the history of culture,
of
science,
course,
and everything?
Victorious people are there all the time. When you are victorious, people recognize you. So, and you know, the Arab countries were like one country in 1973 war. You know, the oil embargo, and all the Arab brothers participated in that war. So we were one, okay? So they recognized Arabic as an official language in December 1973. And when we are having a day in the United Nations to celebrate the Arabic language, they say the 50 anniversary, and now we are celebrating the half a century when October War, October Ramadan War took place.
Right. You kindly mentioned a very important phrase, which is quoting that personality recognized by the whole world as the godfather of translation.
Yes.
And celebrated by everybody. Translation is translating ideas, not words.
Right.
So probably that is the secret of the good translation or the successful translation. Probably that is not being recognized by everyone. I mean, what does it take to be a good translator?
Yeah, we have many skills a translator should have. Like for instance, there is a conference these days, 3-day conference by an association called Turkoman, and it is an international, and it is based in Arab Emirates. They gathered 60 experts, linguists, to celebrate this day. But actually, the celebration is very good because one of the most important things in the United Nations when it comes to days, day for translation, day for whatever, is to enhance the core value of multilingualism, number one. Number two, to pay tribute to the contribution of those who really contributed to the art and science of translation. Because those are the real soldiers for unifying the world, for getting the message across from one language to the other, getting the people to know. And especially when it comes to human rights. You know, the document of human rights in the United Nations, the Declaration of Human Rights, was translated into 500 languages and dialects. Here, they are not the 6 only. Okay?
Of course.
Yeah, because this is the role of the United Nations, is to celebrate human rights, human dignity, world peace, sustainable development. All these targets are the United Nations targets, supposedly. And hopefully we all succeed in that. But the happy thing for me is that we have already chosen Dr. Muhammad Anani.
Of course.
Sheikh al-Mutarjimin, or I will call the fountainhead
the dean of all
translation.
translators.
And by the way, he was my
He's
professor.
a university professor also.
He taught me. So Dr. Anani was a very nice selection to celebrate him. And I worked with him in an issue which is very important, which tells you about the skills of translation. You know, he was the chairman, and this is part that was not covered in many areas. We all discovered that know that he has already contributed with translation literature. But the point about text analysis, he contributed with me in Al-Ahram Center for Strategic Studies about text analysis. It's a very complicated issue from different interdisciplinary fields. And this would tell you that translation is not only interdisciplinary, it is transdisciplinary. Dr. Anani was the chairman of Sutur, a magazine, when he starts analyzing text, but not any text, text that really touches us all on the social, political, legal levels. So this is a job of translation. It's a very wide area. When I'm saying it is not only interdisciplinary, it is transdisciplinary. Let me give the audience an idea, because theoretical jargon is not all the time a happy news for anyone. Like the word tender. You know, when you are talking about nourishment, you have a tender meat means half done.
Of course.
When you go to the ENT doctor, when it comes to medicine, and you say my ear is tender, it's not half done. It is inflamed.
That's new to us.
Yes, and when you
but that could be
but
like.
Let me finish this transdisciplinary.
Of course, but this could be British. or maybe, I mean, there are differences between expressions between British
Oh,
and American.
again, you are getting into another area, which is language change. And American English, British English, Egyptian English,
I mean,
Indian
those
English,
expressions, but you could
and
go on,
nativization.
please.
We can talk
We're
about
very eager to,
nativization,
yes, okay.
but let me finish the
Sure, please.
transdisciplinary.
Yes,
And
please.
when you are talking about commerce, go see what happened, what went wrong or what went right with the tender. A tender here means munaqasa, okay, in Arabic. So you have tender in so many fields of knowledge, different. And when it comes to mechanical engineer, it is the locomotive behind the main, the locomotive in the train. So it has several meanings depending on different context and different affiliation with systems of language, medicine, engineering, commerce,
Commercial, economic.
nourishment, etc., etc. But your point about British and American, this would tell you it's very important.
Totally different meanings. I mean, it's almost the same idea. When you use different phrases, it could give a totally different meaning in different countries.
Ashkurik, thank you so much. You raised a very important issue. And
it's almost similar to what you're talking about.
If you go to the United States and ask, where is the lift? They will never understand you are talking about the elevator. Okay?
Right, exactly.
And you have many differences
Lift, it
like
could
that.
be someone who is robbing someone in the United States. That's why it's very, even in Arabic language here. But the reason why I asked that is because translation could get, in a sense, very critical, very sensitive, and very dangerous at the same time, because in political translation, for example, on some translating some text that could be strategic, only a difficult in one sentence could cause trouble, a lot of trouble.
Yes. The UN
could
resolution,
wars.
The UN resolution 242, the land or land, a different article raised a hell of a difference between parties, negotiating parties. But you raised two issues according to your intervention now. Number one, the American versus British. Oh, okay. By the way, Americans wanted to be distinguished. So they asked a very famous linguist, Noah Webster. You know the dictionary, there is a dictionary called Webster. He's a very well known in the United States. And they asked him to create a dialect for Americans to feel that they are distinctive. It is a matter of language and identity. The British occupied them. They wanted to have a different English. So if they were saying, if the British would say category, dictionary, the Americans would say dictionary, category, even shifting the threats.
Exactly.
A new pile, a great number of words that you can track down to see the differences between American and the British English. So, but this is not the end of the story. The story has to continue. You have Indian English, you have Singaporean English, you have Egyptian English, you have nativization
Italian
of
English and French English.
Yes, but the disaster here in our Arabic world, and this is what we are supposed to seek in the debates and discussion in that conference that I'm participating in for 3 days, that how can we be proud of our Arabic language, but what is happening, you can insert one word or two words in English while you are speaking, but if it is for scientific purpose, it's okay. But now you can see a great deal of problems when it comes dalitu, satabo, conjugating Arabic words with English and vice versa. And this
slang
is
words, you mean? Those are not official.
You are, if I'm speaking Arabic and then I inserted 2 or 3 phrases or words in English
that's the
while I'm
worst
talking.
language ever.
No, this could be acceptable if you are a technical person. And by the way, there is 2 words in translation theories: foreignization and domestication. Foreignization is to use words.
That's very important.
To use words as they are in the target language, in the language.
Foreignization.
Foreignization. Domestication is to try to um,
To localize it.
to localize it. Thank you. By the way, someone was debating that with me, and he said, why you say Assalamu alaikum for someone who is not an Arab? Say hello. So he is in the domestication. But I am for foreignization when it comes to certain issues. No, say Assalamu alaikum. You know, Obama in Cairo speech,
Exactly.
he came and said, Assalamu alaikum. The whole people yani clapped and they
He's
identified
aware of the
very well.
culture.
You know, foreignization is good if it is well deployed. And without inferiority complex, I can use foreignization for certain terminologies. And who can share me in this view? Some linguists, especially the French Laurence Venetti. He said it is honest to use foreignization. Like, for instance, my father used to be, he was, may God rest his soul, he was an electronic engineer, and he say, solid state, translate this on the radio, on the TV. And I said, al-hala salba. He said, you are in chemistry. No, it is transistorized. Get into electronics. So he is for using the terms in English and Arabizing them. But now there is exaggeration in that kind of thing. Some people say, why don't we Arabize every word? Like they wanted to say about Facebook, al-azraq, instead of using the Arabic word Facebook. You know, trend. They wanted to, some people wanted to make a translation like أحدوثة. You can't say المقالة بتاعتي عمل أحدوثة النهاردة. You can say المقالة عمل trend.
Exactly.
يعني use Arab English words so long as it is very telling and clear, and you adapt it to the phonological system. And we have many Arabic words into English when we were exporting the language, exporting the civilization product.
But that again would lead us to another important point, which is is there a protocol for language? I mean, in translation, for language inside the business of translation.
Of course.
Like a protocol for official translation, for light translation, entertaining translation, for political. I mean, how can I be
Actually,
able to
you have
regulate that?
Excellent question. Thank you. By the way, yes, there should be a protocol. There should be tips to follow. But again, one of the most important things is that it could be good and it could be bad. Like, for instance, if you work in a newspaper and they say when you translate, there is an ideology we adopt. Don't move from it. And
what is it?
Like for instance, Newsweek in Arabic and in English. I was following what they produce. They have, you remember Newsweek was translated all in Arabic.
Newsweek.
Newsweek.
Ah,
yeah.
okay.
So a picture with Bin Laden in English, after the devil, when he died, after the devil. And in the Arabic version of translation, they say, ما بعد بن لادن. So in one he is devil, and in one after Bin Laden.
That's ideology.
This ideology, yeah. So
That's
you
not
have
translation.
Chomsky wrote a very good book. It's a great celebrated linguist. Manufacturing consent. You know, in the revolution, Egyptian revolution, January revolution. You know, I was listening to all the stations and to see what are the news and who is saying what. And Omar Suleiman, the Egyptian figure, said, أناشد, let me say it in Arabic and in English, أناشد الشباب بالجلوس إلى مائدة المفاوضات لصالح الوطن. So you say, أناشد means I appeal to the youth to come and negotiate with us. But in other stations, very favorable ones, who really have ideological stances, they say, Omar Suleiman orders the youth. You know, when you say order or appeal, there is a big difference. when you say order in a way,
And usually they don't use order, by the way.
yeah.
They never.
But you know,
Exactly.
in the atmosphere of agitation and the tension and the provocation, and say
Exactly.
order, oh, okay, we'll not come.
We're not coming.
Despite, so even on the verb level, ideology is there.
Unfortunately, we ran out of time, and this discussion
The
is
technical point
way
is very
valuable.
important. Let
Very
me say
valuable.
something about the technicalities. You have now ChatGPT, and it needs a lot of discussion about it, and it is not that good. You have Google Translate, which is neural. You have CAT tools. You have human translation. The three levels needs another session with you to discuss.
Of course, on a promise,
yes.
of course, from you to come over like 2 or 3 times
Yeah.
to be able to cover the valuable topic of translation. I'd like to thank you so much, Dr. Hassan Wageeh, you're Professor of International Relations, coming over to the breakfast show. You have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. It's a real pleasure.
Thank you.
And now, as part of its social and community role, the Interior Ministry launched the 24th phase of our All One initiative. We have more details in the following report.